So I just listened to someone tell one of their bad, dates, one of their worst dates. I have a lot of bad dates, but there's one that was in my mind while she was telling this. And I'll try to make it quick. So essentially it's about 18, 19. I met this guy on Tinder. We were going to hang out, whatever. So I drive 45 minutes. I just had gotten my license. I got it pretty late in my life. And so I get there after this 45-minute drive, and he's not answering me. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe he's in the shower. He'll answer in a minute. So we sit there for an hour because I'm like, I'm not going to turn around. That was a drive. And he doesn't, I still haven't heard from him. I'm at his apartment complex sitting outside the gate fucking waiting for someone. So I turn around and I'm on the highway, and he immediately calls me a minute later. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I fell asleep. Could you please come back? And something happened, and somehow I lost control of my steering wheel. And so I'm going 70 miles an hour on, I-35 in Texas. And I lose control of my car, and I'm literally swerving in between different lanes. Somehow nothing happened and everything was okay. I was really freaked out, but other than that, and so I really think that was the universe, intervening, telling me to just fucking go home. But no, I still turned around. I took the exit. I took the U-turn. I went. So I get there, and we get into his apartment, and we hang out, we smoke, whatever. It's the middle of the day. It's probably 2:00. And I'm super anxious. I just almost got in a car accident, and I'm just frazzled. So we're hanging out, and then he's like, hey, I have to go to my friend's house. And I'm like, okay. So we leave his apartment, and he takes me over to this gas station because he needs to air up his tires. First of all, I get into his car. It's like a minivan, an old Honda minivan. And he's got the seat reclined all the way back, and there's McDonald's bags all on the floorboard. So I'm stomping all over them. So we get there to put air in his tires, and he looks at me and goes, do you have any money? And I was like, no, I actually don't own money. I don't have any money. And he was like, oh shit. Okay. So he's scrounging up quarters, from the floor of his car. And then at that point, I made the decision, and I said, you know what? My mom's going to be mad if I'm not home in an hour. So I think I should go home. So I made him turn around and take me back to my car at his apartment complex down the street, because I was not about to find out what was going to happen at his friend's house. So that's one of my many terrible ones. But if you want to hear any more, let me know.
What's up, y'all? I heard we were telling Tinder horror stories, and your bitch has got a lot of them. So let's go. So let me tell you the story of the man's Tristan. This is a doozy, I'm not gonna lie to you. One of my favorites, honestly. So on the first night we hang out, it's just the two of us. And to be fair, he was a pretty cool guy. He was easy to talk to. He was nice. Everything I wanted when I was in my desperate hoe stage. But anyway, and so after we hang out, I think it's a Friday, I was like, hey, that went really well. Maybe he should come back over to meet my roommates. Wrong. So I believe it's a Sunday when he comes back over while my roommates are there. So we're all kind of wanting to wind down, have a chill Sunday, not do anything too crazy. And so after one, I had to pick this man's up. He didn't have a car. No judgment, but So when I picked him up, I noticed immediately that things were a little off. And finally, the time comes, he's talking with my roommates, and I thought everything could go well. Wrong. He tells my roommate her muffins are dry. Even if they were, don't say anything. 2, he was messing around with our fresh vegetables on our table that we had. Asked if one of our eggplants was a coconut. I couldn't tell if he was joking. I genuinely couldn't. He tried to throw it to one of my roommates to catch it, and it falls on the floor and cracks open. And we all stare at this broken eggplant and are like, what the absolute fuck is going on? As if it couldn't get any worse, this man takes out a speaker from his backpack and starts playing like EDM music and dancing by himself in my living room. And I'm like, what the absolute fuck is going on with you? And he says, oh, I dropped a couple Xanax before I came over. So I was like, cool. Do you care if I take you home? I took him home, and then he posted several times on his Snap story saying he wished I would give him another chance.
Holy crap, guys. I gotta be quiet because I have a Tinder date in the other room. So she comes in, we're hanging out, never met this girl before, and after a little bit we've been talking, drinking, having fun. She asks me, hey, are you into water sports? And I'm like, yeah. I like to go tubing, splash around a little bit, and I'd like to go wakeboarding one day. She goes, no, water sports. Like, I'm into golden showers. And I was like, oh, like a golden shower faucet? She's like, no, go look it up. So I came in the bathroom to look it up, and holy crap, guys, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I don't know if I'm into that stuff. What would you do? I don't know.
So this dude comes over, first time I ever met him. We're sitting in my room. He instantly starts showing me all of his porn videos. And I'm like, bro, like, absolutely not. And I was so uncomfortable. I was like, we gotta go. We gotta leave. So I take him to the movies. He forgot his wallet. I paid for his movie. And then we drove back to my house. And I was like, all right, like, you can leave now. He goes in my room. 10 minutes later, he comes out and he's like, I can't find my keys. I'm like, what do you mean you can't find your keys? So me being a nice person, I let him stay, whatever, nothing like that. And then the next day, I had to take him to the movies to try to look for his keys. They were just gone. I ended up being an hour late for work, and he was in my car. I drove him to my work. On my break, I dropped him off at Starbucks. He blocked me on everything. He got his car like a week later with like a spare key, told me how he was in love with me, how he was hoping to see me again. I'm like, bro, no, it's not gonna happen, my guy.
I just had like the nightmare of a hooking up situation. So some dude left his hoodie here and I didn't know whose it was. I had no idea where it came from. So I texted this one dude, we'll call him Will. And I was like, hey, is this your hoodie? And he goes, no. Do you know someone named George? And I was like, why? 20 minutes later, he sends me a picture of them together. And then George texts me and goes, you hooked up with Will? And I just, oh no, when worlds collide.
Dating story time. So I met this girl, we'll call her Kelly. I went on a spring break trip with her. She ended up getting sick and having to leave early, which I was bummed out about because she was pretty cool. Well, we ended up linking up after that spring break trip and we actually went out on a date. We went hiking. It was great. Spent many a night texting until like 3 o'clock in the morning. It was all going really well. I invited her out to go see a movie one night, and she had told me that she was babysitting for her boss, which she had been doing a lot lately. I said, okay, no problem, and I made plans to hang out with my friend Mike. We were playing Need for Speed, the video game. He looks over at me and he goes, hey, would you hate it if a girl came over, like this girl I've been hooking up with the last month or so, wants to come over? And I was like, no, man, it's cool, like I'll head home here in a bit. So we're just wrapping up playing the video game and the doorbell rings. So I walked over to answer it, thinking I was gonna leave after I answered the door. When I opened the door, it was Kelly at the door. She was shocked, had big old Coke can eyes, and I didn't know what to say. I just kind of smiled and walked away. That one cut pretty deep. Gave me some pretty deep-seated trust issues for sure.
Hey y'all, so this is a story time on why you need to be careful when using Tinder. So like as soon as I turned 18, I downloaded Tinder because I was bored and I was of age, so I didn't care. And I met this guy on there and he said that he was 23. And then we started messaging on Snapchat and then he said he was 26. Turns out he's like 34 and has like 3 felonies. And I'm not talking like the good felonies. If those even exist. Like, I found out, y'all, if you knew I just mouthed, like, Like, I didn't know, right? I didn't know. I didn't think to background check people at that point. And my dumb self sent him pictures. And to this day, he's still like, I'm gonna expose you. You better watch out. Like, oh my God, if you're gonna do it, just do it. Like, But yeah, be careful who you meet, because now I can no longer walk to my car in a parking lot without fearing I'm gonna get shot.
So with me being a plus size person my whole life, there are so many stories to choose from, but this one actually happened about 3 years ago. So I was with this guy and he was laying his head on my butt like it was a pillow, because people like doing that. I have a big butt and I get that. But anyways, he turns to me and he says, "I love your body. It is just so soft and big and comfy. I just love it." And I'm not offended. I'm just like, "Oh, thank you. It is all those things, and it's nice." But this guy proceeds to say, "It's like you're a big couch." And I'm like, did this motherfucker just call me a couch?
So I had deactivated my Tinder for a while. And the other day I was like, you know what? Let's turn it on. Let's go swiping. I haven't been swiping in a long time. Let's go swiping. What a fucking mistake that was. This is back in July, and I had met a guy that I thought was fantastic. We have been talking literally since July. So in September, I finally gave him my phone number. That's where I first fucked up. I thought things were going good with this guy. He was a genuinely nice guy. And then he was like, "Hey, let's trade pictures." So we traded pictures. I was like, "Ooh, that's nice looking." And then I got ghosted. And then I got posted on some Tinder website thing where you get pictures from people on Tinder, and then he posts them on this website. And I'm like, I think I'm going to sue you because I found your Facebook, you asshole.
Always be careful who you meet online. One day, an 18-year-old girl named Christina, who's never had a boyfriend in real life, resorted to online dating. After years of searching for a match, she eventually found the one. The guy suggested they meet at a restaurant, and she agreed without hesitation. The following night, they met at a restaurant and were having dinner. He seemed like a nice guy, but unbeknownst to Christina, this man had a record for sexual assault. He then asked her if she wanted to go somewhere quiet, and she reluctantly said yes. They got into his car and started driving, but while they were driving, Christina had this gut feeling that she needed to get out of that car immediately. She asked him to pull over, but he ignored her. She then started yelling and screaming for him to pull over right now, until he pulled up at a dark cemetery. He locked all the doors and windows, thinking he had Christina where he wanted her, but what he didn't know was that Christina was a man too. Literally. All I can say is that Christina walked out of there alive, but the man did not.